Right, okay, we've given people 2 minutes. We'll see a few people more drop in along the way, so we'll get started. So thank you ever so much for joining us this evening for our November edition of Tech Wednesday. It's crazy to say that out loud, seeing as though we've been in this situation for far too long now, and it feels like we've been here for eternity. So thank you ever so much for giving your Wednesday evening to us. It's great to have you with us. So just a quick overview of Tech Wednesday. So the third Wednesday of every month, we meet up online at the minute, but hopefully in person in the near future. And we give the opportunity to local entrepreneurs and startups to explain a bit more about their journey and their company. So this evening, I am joined by two of our lovely startups in Birmingham. I am joined by Amon and Fina. So Amon is the founder of Hyve, which is a brand advocacy platform, and Fina, who's the founder and CEO of FinanciaLearn, which is an online platform designed to help you understand and improve your financial decisions, basically, and she knows all about that, so I'm not going to take up much more of that time. Please do throughout the evening use the hashtag Tech Wednesday or TechWeds and include Tech Wednesday and the Inno Beeham or Bruntwood SciTech handles. It just helps us keep it all in one place and the conversation going online. So quick overview of the evening. So we're going to hear from Amon first. I'll pass over to you shortly. So his talk is going to be about unlocking customer value to better, oh, my face is over that thing now. Unlocking customer value to build better products and boost customer loyalty. So he'll be covering the different elements of value that are most important to your customers to build better products, improve customer experience, and boost customer loyalty and advocacy. Amon has been with the campus for quite a while now, so we're really familiar with this platform. He's delivered some excellent visiting expert sessions for us and has over 10 years in the customer experience industry. So really great to have you with us, Amon. Thank you for joining us. We'll have a Q&A with Amon and then we'll pass over to Fina. So Fina's talk this evening is all around the importance of financial protection during a period of growing uncertainty for many businesses and employees. So hopefully we'll understand the reasons why financial resilience is necessary and what proactive measures should be considered to mitigate risks. Again, Fina's got a really impressive 20 years plus in the industry of finance. So great to have you with us, Fina. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll open up to Q&A again after Fina's talk, but I do encourage you to put your questions in the chat and in the Q&A throughout, just so that when we do come to those Q&A sessions, we're all ready to go and we're prepared. So, as I said, I'm not going to take up much more of your time. So what I'd love to do is, Amon, if I invite you to share your screen, that would be excellent. And you can give us all the brand advocacy knowledge you have, hopefully.
Hello, can you hear me? Perfect. Thank you, Steph. As Steph said, I've been at the campus for about 2 years now, so it's my second year, and thank you for this opportunity as well for me to share more knowledge around brand advocacy and evangelize and spread the word of mouth around the holy grail of what you call of marketing. So I'm going to be taking you guys today through the how can you unlock customer value to drive loyalty and advocacy, and also help you build better products. As Steph has just said, we're a brand advocacy platform that helps brands turn their happy customers into empowered advocates. I'll just pull my presenter notes here first. Thank you. And my background, as Steph has just said, I've spent the last 10 years in the customer experience space, and I worked for a company out in Coventry called Rent and Rave, where we help brands set up voice over customer programs. And we used to ask, the brands used to ask their customers, how likely would their customers recommend their brand to their family and friends, and it's called the Net Promoter Score. And if you score anything between 0 and 6, you're considered a detractor, and if you score between 7 and 8, you're considered a passive, and 9 and 10, you're considered a promoter. And we actually saw an opportunity for brands to actually leverage their promoters, people who have said, yes, we would recommend your brand, and actually give them that opportunity to recommend that brand. And that's where the concept of Hyve came about. And today I thought about to talk more about Hyve, but I thought let's actually look at what are those things that you could do within your business right now to start paving the way for advocacy. Because advocacy is a long-term game, and it starts from the idea stage. Actually, how do you collaborate with your customers? Getting to deliver more value, solving your customers' problems, essentially changing your customers' lives for the better. Otherwise, that's the main reason for your existence. And really, the reason behind it is just to set the stage. There's actually a paradigm shift that's actually happening in society around loyalty. Loyalty is no longer just the transactions there, how often you buy from a particular brand. Loyalty is no longer about the nectar points. If you think about loyalty points, that doesn't mean that a customer is loyal to your brand. And loyalty is not about the kind of loyalty rewards that you give to your customers. Loyalty is now shifting towards brands building better relationships with their customers, having a more emotional relationship with those customers. It's around building communities where the customers actually believe in your purpose, believe in your vision, and actually want to help you build that brand to see through to your vision. And all of this is actually through collaboration and built on trust and authenticity. So today we'll be looking at how you can actually get to that point where you have loyal customers. In marketing, you tend to go through 3 stages, really. So you go through customers being aware of your brand. You build to loyalty, where customers actually use your products and find value in it, and then they become loyal to your brand or to the service, buy again from you. And then you go to the next stage, which is brand affinity, where they feel that they love your brand enough to go out there and speak to the rooftops, shout at the rooftops and say, I love this brand, I love their products, you should go and buy it. And I thought of looking at what are those elements of value that your business or your products can actually bring to your customers. And there's actually 4 areas that you could look at adding value to your customers. The number one thing as a business, obviously, you always hear about, you need to build cheaper, better, faster products. Your products should be cheaper or better or faster. And this is actually quite good because that's kind of the base. But the elements of value, actually, you could look deeper and look at other things. So, for example, looking at the time it saves your customers. So if you think about, if you're building a product that maybe your customers took maybe 10 hours to do, and you're doing it in an hour, that serves a functional aspect. That brings functional value to your customers. If you think about your products integrating with other systems, so if you I think there's a quote that say, for every spreadsheet in your company is a software. So if you think about your software connecting to let's say different products, that brings more functional value to your products. If you think about banks and how they reduce risk, that's an element of functional value that you can bring to your products. And then we graduate to the next level, which is emotional, where you connect to your customers and bring emotional value to your customers. And this is all around giving your customers peace of mind. So if you think about reducing anxiety, if you think about providing access to your customers, if you think about better design, things psychological and emotional benefits to your customers. and then you graduate to more life-changing value that you can bring to your customers. If you think about giving hope to your customers, motivating your customers to achieve their goals, and looking at creating communities where your customers can actually connect with other customers so that they can actually get better at what they do. And at the top of that pyramid, it's the social impact that brands can actually bring to their customers. So one of the things I was actually going to do was do side-by-side comparisons of incumbent brands. So like, let's say banks, I'm going to use an example of banks and challenger banks. And I'm going to use in the retail space, look at high street retail stores or brands, and compared to more new age retail brands like Gymshark. So the main thing here is that for you to add more value to your customers, you need to be ticking as many boxes in the functional, emotional, life-changing, and social impact. And actually, to create more loyalty, you need to unlock the emotional, life-changing. And if you want to go to the stratosphere, you need to be thinking about unlocking the social impacts, where you actually live your purpose. I think over COVID, I think a lot of people, a lot of brands have recognized that we cannot actually sell in this kind of climate. And it's actually connecting back to who they are, their why, and looking back at why they actually started those brands. Nike is a really good example of a brand that's just come through in kind of showing its purpose, and they've been doing it for a while now. So if you look at high street banks, looking at, for example, the value that they bring to their customers, number one, they reduce the effort. So if you think about payments, you're working somewhere, your employer will ask you for your bank details, and at the end of the month, they pay to your bank account. So they're reducing that effort. So that's an example of value that a bank can bring. They also reduce the risk. Banks are heavily regulated to make sure that your money is safe. They also, a lot of banks work really hard to give you good quality service experience when you go to the high street. You go to the banks, and actually you find tellers there who can actually handle your money for you. Those are kind of value that they bring into to their customers. From an emotional perspective, they reduce the anxiety of customers thinking, is their money safe? They reassure them, if you lose your money, like let's say if there's a fraudulent transaction, you can get paid back if, let's say, if there was a scam. And also they provide access to like their staff who are really helpful. And from a life-changing kind of value perspective, if you walk throughout your life, and at the end of it, you want to pass down your money to your brothers or to your children or to your grandchildren. So from an heirloom perspective, that's life-changing. They unlock life-changing value for their customers. So if you look at high street brands and you compare now to challenger brands, so challenger brands are banks that have recently been founded in the last 5 years, and they've completely come to the space and disrupted the banking sector. And if you look at the colors that have the areas of the value that they've unlocked on every stage, you can see why high street banks are getting scared of challenger brands. So for example, I'm a Monzo customer, and you can literally open a bank. I opened my bank account in 5 minutes. So if you think about how they've reduced or removed the hassle of opening a bank account in terms of reducing the effort of me actually getting access to my bank account. They're also regulated. My money is always safe. I actually pay everything through my Monzo account. It integrates to different parts of things I use in my life, so I can actually account on how I use my money. And they also give me insight or information on how to better manage my money. From an emotional perspective, Monzo actually reduces anxiety, because for every payment I get a notification on my phone. If I travel to different parts of the country, different parts of the world, sometimes I get notifications. We've noticed that you're away. Is that you? We're just confirming. And that actually helps. kind of reduce the anxiety that I have. They provide access. So they tend to have, Monzo have like events that they run in London, and I've actually been to them for one of them, sorry. And it's actually exciting to meet other Monzo customers. And then you look at the better design, they're creating products. I've got a HSBC app and a Monzo app, and completely different from a design perspective. And also they give rewards as well. And they have their own community. From a life-changing value perspective, they provide a community. And same as banks, same as high street banks, you can actually open joint accounts, and you can actually pass money back. In terms of if we go on for dinner with my friends, I've actually got my friends to join Monzo, and when we're out for dinner, we actually pay through Monzo. So that's the life-changing aspect, life-changing value that they've added. And this is why the challenger banks are completely disrupting the high street banks. Another example is high street retail. So for example, if we compare Sports Direct, again, saves time. You can find them, you can go online, find their stores, go and visit them, go get whatever you want. If it's shoes, they provide a variety of things in there in terms of clothing, shoes, golf clubs, tennis rackets, everything. And they do provide quality products as well. And then from an emotional value perspective, Sport Direct actually probably not the best in terms of like shop store and stuff, but they still do offer a good experience in store. And they also provide access. But from a life-changing perspective, they're not actually doing much on that. They're not doing much on social impact. And if you compare that to Gymshark, they're actually unlocking more elements of value from a functional perspective, from an insight perspective. If you look at Gymshark, actually Gymshark is just on our back door in Solihull, and they're a really good example of a brand that's completely disrupted the retail space. I think they've just recently been valued at more than £1 billion or something. So, and if you think about saving time, they're digital fast brand. They reduce the effort. I've bought Gymshark products. If you look at it from a quality perspective, they're honestly next to none compared to, I would even say better than Nike. If you look at how they connect their customers, if you go on social media, people are sharing content, people are connecting on there. And they also reduce the hassle in terms of finding out, is this actually a good product for me? Because it just fits. From an emotional perspective, they unlock something around attractiveness. So people love their products, and they are out there taking pictures of themselves wearing them, and they're sharing online. That's just constantly spreading that positive word of mouth. And also from a mental health perspective, they're quite vocal on social media around that in terms of wellness. They've even got an app now around fitness. And also like you think about providing access to different parts of Gymshark as well. I think they were based at the campus, and you could see how some of the people who actually went to the to their offices in Solihull, life-changing. If you think about Nike, Jordans, a lot of people are actually selling on Jordans for thousands of pounds. So that's become an heirloom, obviously in the last kind of 20 years with the sneakerhead subculture. In terms of motivation, Nike is a good example that have an app where they motivate people to exercise, and they're out there running and encourage people to get running. In terms of a community, they provide communities for people to actually engage. So they're unlocking value. And at the top of that, Nike is a good example where they've transcended their brand and products to actually fulfilling their purpose, fulfilling their vision, where they're actually actively engaged in activism. A good example is the Colin Kaepernick thing with Black Lives Matter. that's a good example of a brand that has unlocked every aspect of the value chain to their customers. So for us as entrepreneurs and startups, we need to be looking at how we can actually unlock value at every stage. And why is this important? So we did some research with Warwick Business School, where we tried to understand what are those key aspects that drive advocacy. And on every aspect of this, it's looking at how you make it easy. So if you think about making it easy, touches back on the functional aspects of functional elements of value that you can add to your brand. If you think about customer orientation, it's about customer centricity. It's about if you think about communities, it's about making your customers feel special. If you're thinking about engagement with employees of the brands, it's about deepening relationships. So you're constantly unlocking value for your customers, and that would help you build better products. That would help you unlock that kind of element of viral kind of word of mouth, where people are sharing your content. So brand awareness, brand reputation, and in terms of product innovation, your customers are actually involved in helping you build a product. So as a summary, it's important to know your audience, make sure that you're solving a problem for them, be consistent. And by what I mean by being consistent is just being authentic. Consistency is just when you're consistent, you're authentic, and make sure that you measure every aspect of what you do so that you can improve. And that's it. So at Hyve, we're all about real customers telling real stories, empowering brands customers to actually go out there and spread positive word of mouth. And you can reach me on amon@hyvespace.com or Hyve_live. Thank you, Steph.
Thank you. I'll give you a clap. I know it's really weird in these virtual times that you don't receive that. So thank you ever so much.
Yeah.
Really, you are a living, breathing Monzo advocate. Every time we have that conversation, I always think I'm going to change my bank. I'm going to go and change to a Monzo.
You should change. You change.
So yeah, we'll open the floor to any questions. I've seen Alistair's popped a little comment in the chat box there. Just a little bit about, he buys into the conversation around the banks that you were discussing there, but suspect that incumbent banks rely on negatives, lack of differentiation, hassle of changing for little gain, etc. I don't know whether you want to expand on that at all, Amon, or have any thoughts.
Just repeat the question, sorry.
If you just open the chat box, it should just pop up there. So Alistair's kind of, it's not really a question, it's more just a thought, I think. Around the high street banks that were, everybody's was using them at one point, and then these new are coming around.
Yeah.
So he's saying kind of that the incumbent banks rely on negatives, so lack of differentiation and hassle of changing, and then these new ones are coming through with all these new ideas. Just kind of if you had any thoughts on that. Yeah.
So if you look at challenger brands, they saw a problem in the market in the banking sector, and this has been obviously banks have gone on. It's actually been the top 4 banks for a very long time, and people tend to stay with those banks for pretty much their whole lifetime. But most of these brands, challenger brands that came about in the last kind of 5 to 10 years, realized actually there has to be more than this. We can't just continue being treated like no innovation has happened in that space for a very long time. In terms of the anxiety that you get when you haven't got access to your banks, and they didn't really get on with the internet age, really, with the banks. I think banks started giving apps literally 5 years ago, and even later than that, actually. So most of these banks did not adapt, and that's why most of these challenger brands came and said, actually, let's look at the value that we can bring to our customers. They cherry-picked functional ones, basically navigating. Monzo is a good example of a bank that navigated a lot of regulation. And actually, there had to be regulation that had to be added to more or less kind of ring fence some activities that they were doing. From an emotional perspective, they unlocked a lot of things. I remember I'd gone traveling to South Africa, backpacking in 2016, sorry. And I think they were down, and immediately on the chat function on my Monzo app, I just started getting notifications. And I literally had an hour chat with one of the reps, and basically talking about my backpacking experience in South Africa. That bond that was there is something that you cannot get with a bank. So it just goes to show that they really understand their customers and they really care about them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I kind of refer back to what Alice was saying previously. It's one of those where I think, as I say, we've had this conversation many times, and every time I think, right, I'm going to go change to Monzo, and it's just a hassle. And because I've been with my bank, one of those forementioned, for so long, it's just one of those things where I just feel it's more hassle than it is worth.
It takes 5 minutes.
That's what Monzo are trying to do. They're coming in, they're disrupting the market. What would you say is the best way to do that, to disrupt a market?
I think it's just coming and looking at your customers, observing what your customers are doing, looking at their pain points. So my background is actually in product, and there's a framework called Jobs to be Done. It's literally just saying we hire different products to do specific jobs for us. And those jobs could be emotional, those jobs could be social, those jobs could be functional. So actually you could literally align the jobs to be done framework. What job am I doing for my customers from a functional perspective? What jobs am I doing for my customers from an emotional perspective? And you can literally refer back to can you see my screen actually? You can literally refer back to the functional value that you can bring. You can literally refer back to your emotional side of things, what you can bring to your customers, and cherry pick and see what's more relevant to your customers.
Okay, perfect. Another question from Kemi, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. At what stage do we engage customers in product development?
At the very start. Main thing, talk to your customers. For example, we at Hyve, we actually started off the campus. We were an agency before, and National Express popped up with a incubation or innovation hub, and we actually got to work with them and got to understand the challenges. And this was at the very stage where it was just an idea, and you have to start engaging at the very start.
Okay, wise words.
Have conversations with your customers. Don't be scared of them.
Okay, well, brilliant. Thank you ever so much for that, Amon. If anybody does have any more questions, please do feel free to pop them in the chat, and we'll come back to those at the end. So again, another round of applause for you. Thank you ever so much for sharing that. And then I would like to invite Fina, if you'd like to share your screen with us, then that would be brilliant.
Sure. Share screen. Can you see my screen?
We can do, yeah.
Cool. Okay. Just gonna move this over here. Okay, well, hi everyone. Thanks for joining me this evening. I know you haven't got pizza waiting straight after this, so I really appreciate you sticking around. My name's Fina, and I am the founder and CEO of FinanciaLearn. And my company has created a couple of self-help tools in financial protection. Our objective, and let me just pay for current slide. Our objective is to deliver basic knowledge and foundation level understanding in financial protection. We do have ambitions to roll it out across the whole spectrum, i.e. pensions and investments, but that comes at a later date. We wanted to start with important underpins necessary to give people insight into financial well-being and financial security. A prospect recently called it an IFA in your pocket. And I thought this was fantastic because it was what I was trying to achieve from the very beginning when I first started designing and looking at how to create these apps. So yeah, that was great. Now, my background is in financial services. And what I've noticed is, like most institutions, it's always been centered around an eligibility criteria. And in my actual area of financial services, I'd noticed that in financial holistic advice, the environment was becoming more about serving clients who satisfied a high net worth criteria. And I wanted to make a difference in my professional landscape and actually disrupt, the current situation. I'm just going to, sorry, I'm just, so just to give you a bit of an idea of my background, I have been in financial services for such a long time. I started out as a personal loans advisor in 1990, and then I've worked in quite a few of the main high street banks over the years in varying roles. And my last role was as an associate partner at St. James's Place Wealth Management. And I was operating as a financial advisor there. So my journey started in 2018 when I just, I got a bit frustrated with the industry, thinking that it was serving those who were able to afford financial advice, but majority of UK's population that didn't have access to information were being overlooked and underserved, and that bothered me. So I decided that there needed to be a change, and because I wanted to make a difference, I thought now was the best time to actually stretch and explore my my skills, if you like, and try and push boundaries where I could. So that's what I did. I'll just go on to the next screen. And before so helping people to understand about financial planning is really important to me. I think there's such a huge need for people to understand the risk, the financial risks that potentially could affect them, and mitigate these risks. The benefits are, it reduces uncertainty, and it also improves mental health, in that many statistics say 40% of employees are struggling with financial angst. And as a result of that, there's an increased, mental illness or mental illness issues coming from that. So government have looked at this and said individuals need to look after themselves, and employers are key to that. And if I just go back to my background, again, just to give you a bit of information about the industry that I was operating in the 1990s, there was, an abundance of financial advisors out there. A figure that's been bandied about is about 300,000 financial advisors. Fast forward to the end of 2019, there's a population of 5,666 financial independent financial organizations out there. That's less than 2% of what we had in the 1990s. And that change has evolved over time due to, bad practices in financial services, etc. And as a result of the shift in, you know, the level of qualifications and licenses you need to operate in that space, there was a huge sort of huge exodus, I think you call it, of advisors leaving the marketplace, certainly when regulation was changed in 2012. So if you imagine a advisor population of just over 5,500 advisors servicing the whole of the UK, it's not really, surprising that majority of them are looking to serve high net worth clients because they have more sophisticated financial requirements. Now, the Financial Advice Market Review has come out stating that digital advancements will be the only way to help the 25 million working adults in the UK who don't have access to a financial advisor. And bearing in mind, the people that do have a financial advisor right now are people of a certain age demographic, because they've grown up, or they've actually had access to, over a period of time, to know the importance that the industry offers. But for much of the younger population, they don't know what financial advisors do, and many of them just think, well, actually, I can do that independently. But what they don't think about is you don't know what you don't know, and sometimes it's necessary to just have that information to hand so that you can make better informed choices. And right now, there's no area out there that actually trains an individual to understand about, you know, the insurance choices that are out there. And to put it into perspective, we've heard a lot of people out there lose, you know, job losses, redundancies out there in the marketplace. But to put it into perspective, only a small fraction, I think it's 1%, that had redundancy cover. So for those few individuals at a certain level, they will be comforted that, you know, even though they're losing their jobs, they'll still have replacement income for the next 2 years whilst they conveniently look for an alternative job. Whereas mass population didn't know about it, can't take it out now, and are thinking, well, you know, why did no one tell me about this? So the self-help tools are designed to actually just upskill individuals about these types of insurance products and services available. And I do believe that it's necessary, because 75% of the global workforce will be millennials by 2025. And that's only 5 years away. And when you think about it, it's pretty scary that, you know, a lot of people are out there working, and, you know, many in the gig economy, not really spending any time at all thinking about their financial well-being and putting financial security measures in place. I'll just go on to this. This slide really tells you the reasons why. So it's another reinforcement of why we need to actually address this area of financial services. And to go back to Amon earlier, financial services has really been slow to adopt technology, and regulated financial the regulated financial arena has been slower still. So whilst banks have slowly adopted their platforms, the regulated arena, for those of you who do have financial advisors, will know that many financial advisors out there only operate on a face-to-face basis, or, you know, face-to-Zoom basis now because of the changes, which is why I am really passionate about my products, only because I can see that it fits a gap in the market, which is why, you know, I'm really passionate about it. What else can I say? So just to put it into perspective, bills cost UK businesses 29 billion every year. That's just on average, year on year. But if we have a look at the COVID, cost to the UK economy, that's hugely that's hugely significant and a huge increase to the average cost. Now, various cancer charities will tell you that by 2020, half of the UK population can expect to be diagnosed with a cancer at some point in their lives. Relevant because diagnosis of a cancer can, if you have the right policy, pay out a lump sum so that you can spend the right amount of time to recuperate. And quite often people who don't have policies to protect against critical illness or long-term sickness are often stressed and have to go back to work in a state where they're still trying to rehabilitate and get back into, good health before they return to work. And not having strategies outside of the workplace tends to be a problem for many, because if you're relying on your employers to provide you with that level of comfort, there's only so much they can do, and quite often they will put in standard arrangements that don't last for a very long time. And just to also reinforce the mental illness comment that I made earlier, the Association of British Insurers has stated that mental illness became the top cause of new claims in 2017 and has held that top spot. And COVID has only accelerated its increase. And I think we can all sort of like relate to those figures. So to go back to my next slide. So what I wanted to do is give a broader audience or mass audiences access to regulated advice, but firstly provide them information all in one place so that they are able to understand and know what options and choices are out there to help them implement financial safeguards that give them that level of security. Now, I mentioned earlier about the Financial Advice Market Review, and it's why I actually embraced digital advancements so that I could help users identify what they needed, what they have in place at the moment through employer schemes or historically what they've taken out, so what they've got at the moment, and potentially identify what they need moving forward to, safeguard themselves. I keep moving the screens because I'm losing. Yes, so and for many of us gig workers, which I am now, for us, we're very reliant on our ability to generate income. And if something were to happen, we can't generate income, which is why it's important for us to have safeguards in place. So I use the term pocket IFA because moving forward, I really like that description of the apps. And I wanted to, just put it into perspective that it's not very hard to actually get the information you need. And it's not a case of having to buy something. It's a case of empowering the individual so that they actually have resources that give them sufficient information to give them the confidence to take control of their own financial well-being. So this is a flyer that sort of like aptly describes what I've been trying to do. There's two apps. They're both available on Apple iStore or Google Play Store. There's one for Wallow for employees. So businesses that are keen to promote the essentials in life skills for financial protection to help staff with their their personal protection needs, and FinGig for business, which is suitable for gig workers, etc. So those are the two products that I've got. Now, just to put it into perspective as well, whilst I was creating the platforms, I was very fortunate. I was invited or accepted into the advice unit at Financial Conduct Authority, which was great in a sense that my business continues to get ongoing regulatory feedback from Financial Conduct Authority, which gives clients the comfort that these apps are safe and compliant. So, you know, there's nothing to worry about on that score. Also, I've managed to partner with UK's #1 independent protection advisors, regulated, called LifeSearch, and they will serve any clients that I actually identify that they need more information on a certain product, or they would just like to speak to someone to get a bit more insight, or they just want to take out a product. LifeSearch are partnered, and you can actually access their platform through the app. So once you've actually downloaded the app and you go through the content and you think, this might be relevant for me, you've actually got someone else on the other side to service or facilitate your protection needs, which was really important as well. Because I wanted to ensure that my users had a full end-to-end client journey. And I wanted to make a difference to the millions of working lives in the UK who are in need of help, but don't know where to start. So that's that slide. Moving on. So what my current objective is I would like to collaborate with key influencers, leaders, employers, to help them impart financial knowledge to their networks or employees, or any audiences, with the aim of helping individuals develop their confidence and take control over their financial arrangements. So if, you know, when you're out there networking and you think that you know potential groups or organizations that could benefit from you know, the apps that I've created, then please do touch base with me on my contact details, which are here. And I'd be happy to you know, further our conversations as to how we can work together. So just to summarize, that's all about me. Steph did say to me earlier on that I whistle on too much, so I've tried to give you a whistle stop. I hope I haven't you know, bored you, but thank you very much for you know, joining me this evening. And if you have any questions, I'm open to the floor.
Thank you very much. And just to clarify, I didn't quite word it like that. I said that you're very passionate, which is I think we can all agree on. So thank you ever so much for that. And I completely agree. I think this year, you know, more so than any other year, is a year that we all kind of have opened our eyes to the fact that we do need this kind of financial understanding and security. And I think now is exactly the right time for people to, you know, be looking at your app and to be kind of gaining that knowledge. So really, thank you ever so much for sharing that. There's a question come in from Kemi. Are you considering developing a tool for personal financial planning with ease of use?
Personal financial planning, yes. As a financial advisor, a qualified financial regulated advisor, there are 3 areas within financial planning. There's the protection element, the pensions, and then the investments element. And I am focused on all three areas, but I wanted to start with the most important, or what they deem the cornerstone of financial services, which is the protection element. And Wallow will give you the personal protection information and guidance that an individual needs from a personal angle. FinGig is targeted for the business market. So absolutely, yes, I'm looking for a I'm looking to continue developing a financial platform with ease of use, but I'm doing it in stages. So at the moment, I'm still on stage 1 or phase 1.
Thank you. And I think Amon had a question. I've just because now I've now shared my screen, I've lost the chat box. So Amon, I don't know whether you want to unmute yourself and ask your question away. I think it was around entrepreneur cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any financial cover for entrepreneurs? Absolutely. Not for. There's never going to be an insurance policy that's going to just give you money because your business isn't making money, right? But there are insurance policies to protect entrepreneurs, and they are banded, rightly or wrongly, within, self-employed gig workers, or, that sort of like field. So if you went into the FinGig app, it would explain what's relevant to your type of business. So if you're a sole trader, there's a sole trader journey for you to follow. If you're a limited company with just yourself, there's that process to follow. So it actually gives you a basic overview of business structures and what's relevant for you. So the idea is, if you are concerned about your financial security, because potentially you don't know what's around the corner, but with mental illness on the increase, you feel you might be affected later on down the line, as long as you don't have any pre-medical conditions for that. Certainly you can speak to a regulated advisor that can give you all the advice you need to put something in place to support your, financial security if you were unable to work for whatever reason due to ill health or, long-term sickness. Does that answer your question,
Yes.
Amon?
Yeah.
Perfect. Correct me if I'm wrong, because as I say, I've lost my chat facility for some reason, unfortunately. But if there's no more questions,
Kemi has asked the question, and I'll just read it out. It says, I am a lecturer at Coventry University and wondering if Amon or Fin will be willing to teach my business students on the topics that they covered as guest lecturers. I cannot speak for Amon, but I would be fully up, I'd be thrilled to do that. I think it has a lot of merit, certainly for students, because they're the next generation and many of them don't know what's out there. So absolutely, from me, I would love to be part of that. And I can't speak for Amon, but I'm sure he will be.
Yeah, absolutely, Fin. Personally, I've been educating people on brand advocacy. I feel like it's something that's quite known around North America, and it's slowly seeping in through to the UK market. I was just telling Steph actually just before we joined this, that there's actually a company that just got almost £2 million in investment last month in brand advocacy, which is quite encouraging. So I'm definitely happy to come and give talks around how business people can learn how to create advocates and understand the field better.
Great. Yeah, no, that's really great. And I think if you wanted both, just pop your email address in the chat box again, just so that Kemi's got that to hand. And that's absolutely brilliant. You know, these are the reasons we do Tech Wednesday, to start these conversations and to share knowledge. So really fantastic. Thank you ever so much both for your time. We have come to the end of the session. We've got 3 minutes, so we've done really well in keeping to the time. Thank you both so much. If anybody on the call does have any feedback for myself, or you know, if they would like to speak for a future Tech Wednesday slot, we're probably looking at next year now, which again is insane. So please do drop me an email there. My address is stephanie.einan@bruntwood.co.uk. Any feedback, if you'd like to talk, please just drop me a line. And then I suppose we'll just round up the session with another thank you, a round of applause for you both. And I won't stop the session in case those email addresses haven't gone in there, but thank you both so much for your time, and for everybody joining the call. I know these sessions are after work hours, so really appreciate that, and I hope you all have a great rest of the evening, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you ever so much.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye.